Alright, can everyone hear me? Hopefully that's working now. I don't think the sound was working to start off with. Alright, so break 148. Our team list for today: Broncos, Jason Holmgreen; Raiders, Brett Nichols; Bulldogs, Peter Wright; Sharks, Jade Mellons; Titans, Ben Salmon; Manly, Matt Price; Storm, Terry Lynch; Knights, Robert Kelly; Cowboys, Jackson Schumi; Eels, Brad Easy; Panthers, Dylan Cameron; Rabbitohs, Darren Court; Dragons, Gareth Lawson; Roosters, Terry Lynch; Warriors, Chris Duggan; and Tigers, Craig Hyde. Alright, so let's switch screens. Once that wants to work for us. There we go. Alright, so we have our 21 Traders Hobby Box to be randomized between all 16 spots. We have the 21 Traders Priority, 22 Traders Priority, and we have our 22 Traders Case. Alright, so let me minimize this one. There we go. Happy to trade for Eels. I can do that, and we haven't done case card or anything, so Beezy is on YouTube. He's not on Facebook at all, but he's the one that wants to swap Sharks for Eels. Jade's in the chat for Eels. So I'll mark that off now, guys. Sharks for Eels. Alright, this one here. 2 seconds, guys. Alright. No worries, Jade. Did you get those pictures today? And our case card winner for the Tigers, Luke Brooks, number 4, Mr. Craig Hyde. So yes, Beezy, it has now taken place. It's all marked off on our information. Alright, so we'll do the case first into the 22 Traders Priority, followed by... I didn't realise you actually kept the photos with that as well. I just thought it was a spreadsheet. So yeah, let's get started. Power Heroes, header A. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Teague Wilton, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Hamali Olaka'atu for the Manly. Hang on, I've got this around the wrong way. Bear with me for a second, guys. That should look a bit better on the camera now. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. So everyone in the break gets an entry into the giveaway. Edward Cossey, Rising Stars for Warriors. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbitohs. If anyone knows Marie Yates, this round's top tipper. We assume Andrew Yates may be able to help us. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for Cowboys. High Performance, David Clemmer for the Knights. Charles Nicole Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. Marson Apprentice for the Panthers. Isaac Tago. Dallin Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. TC Rabuddy, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. I hope everyone's once again safe in this crazy weather. Brian To'o, Season 2 member for Panthers. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Club Heroes, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Blake Laurie, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Siosifa Talakai, parallel for Sharks. Master and Apprentice, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Tigers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Helam Lukey for the Cowboys. Marcus Sivo, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Jackson Schumi. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Storm, Cooper Johns, Master and Apprentice Black. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Davey Mole for the Rabbits. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Ryan Sutton, parallel for Raiders. Season to remember, Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Joseph Suwali, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Joseph Suwali, parallel for Roosters. High Performance, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Power Heroes, Josh Papali for Panthers. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. So giveaways drawn tomorrow, guys. First place getting the 21 Traders case and priority box. Second place getting the set of 22 Traders show cards. Toby Sexton, Rising Stars for Titans. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. Everyone in this break gets a spot each. Police Kafusi, parallel for Storm. I think there are a few dud packets. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Eels parallel checklist. What am I doing? Rising Stars, Dean Arimia for the Storm. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Don't remember getting a team high performance yet, or high performance. Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Tom Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. White Sig, Adam Dewey. Another hit for Craig Hyde. Doing well to start. Great start for the Tigers. Number 19. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Here it is. Last but not least for a change. I normally say it and we get nothing. Team high performance for the Eels. And Nelson Asafa Solomona for the Storm. I was actually getting worried because we hadn't had that team card yet. I thought I'd missed it. Alright. Hey DK, welcome mate. Taylor May, Rising Stars for Panthers. I'm pretty sure I heard Dad saying, DK, that the dinner thing we're going to, all the money that is raised from the night is going straight to him. The organisers paying for the event itself. Kyle Felt, parallel for Cowboys. Is that right, Kimmy? I'm sure that's what he was saying. So, welcome, Darren. Yeah, that was our initial thought too. Team high performance for the Panthers. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Yeah, we weren't sure like if the profits from the night were going to go to him or whatever, but it turns out all the money for the tables, everything like that goes straight to him. So Josh Jackson parallel for the Bulldogs. Jaden Campbell, club hero for the Titans. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. High performance, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. Marston Apprentice, Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Brett Morris for the Roosters. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Nathan Brown, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Helam Lukey for the Cowboys. Hey Matt, how's it going, mate? Eels parallel checklist. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Rabbitohs. Tarek Sims, parallel for Dragons. Marston Apprentice, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. Hope everyone's got their tips locked in for this round. Master Apprentice Black, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Tom Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. High performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, yep, for the Titans. I try. Yep, no worries. Joseph Suwali, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Power Heroes, Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Jai Arrow parallel for the Rabbitohs. You in the tipping comp, Brad? Davey Mole, Rising Stars for the Rabbits. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. You tell me, Darren, and we'll both know. Ooh, nice. Mr. Terry Lynch. Storm Predictor, number 82. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Big Tino, Darren, that's how we say it. Big Tino for the Titans. Jared Croker, parallel for the Raiders. Elijah Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. High Performance, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Power Heroes, Junior Paulo for the Eels. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Renato Mulitalo, parallel for the Sharks. Wonder what the other is. Oh, other predictor. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. Yeah, or at least it's not like last year where you knew what it was. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Reid Marnie for the Eels. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Dean Orimia for the Storm. Blake Laurie, parallel for Dragons. High Performance, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. And last packet for the box. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for Knights. Another box down. Alright. Coffee. Need coffee. Coffee's good. '21 season to remember Bulldogs, Joe Cavarillo, Tohu Harris, parallel for Warriors. Oh. From what I knew, what we've opened, it's been pretty. They haven't been identical. I'm not saying there's not the odd. Like, I'm not saying there isn't, but Zach Sini, Rising Stars for Tigers. Daniel Tupu, parallel for Roosters. But as I've said many a times, I normally forget what I open by the time I finish opening it. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. High Performance, Brendan Smith for the Storm. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Master Apprentice, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Jira Mamoisi for the Knights. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Oh, my single box is gone. Laugh out loud. Your single box. Bailey Biondi Otto, Club Heroes for the Broncos, Bulldogs, sorry. Too busy trying to watch TK's chat. 4 traders, 3 retirements, and 1 foil sig. Thank God for my team break. 4 traders, 3 retirements. Hamali Olaka'atu, for Manly, parallel. Oh, so you got 4 boxes of traders, had 3 retirements and 1 foil sig. Now I'm with ya. Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Well, today's the last day, but if you buy a box today, not only do you get the show card, but you also get an entry into the giveaway. Today's the last day for that, as the giveaway finishes tonight. Daniel Saifiti, season to remember for the Knights. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Chance Nicole Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Dallin Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Brian To'o, Power Heroes for Panthers. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Only today, you reckon, DK? Apasai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. James Tarmo, Master and Apprentice Black for the Tigers. Titans parallel checklist. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Tigers parallel checklist. High Performance, Isaiah Yeo for the Panthers. Micah Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Power Heroes, Header B. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Team High Performance for the Storm. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. Foyle Sieg for Dylan Cameron and Dylan Edwards. Number 144 for the Panthers. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Jacob Saifidi, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Titans. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Thank you. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. That's alright, because I've got to go through them all at the end anyway, so find the odd mistake. It's a lot easier if I don't make mistakes, but yeah. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. And this isn't my usual tray. My usual trade, preference tray, has stickers on it with my teams. Makes it that little bit easier. Isaac Lou, high performance for the Roosters. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Greg Marzhew for the Titans. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. Jack Bird, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Basic Spirits, beer and wine included. There you go. Jake Trebojevic, Master and Apprentice for Manly. All over the shop. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. And that's another box. Yeah, I heard something about that. I wasn't 100% sure what you said, but nice. We can tell them. So their first and then second is a case of 21. There you go. Yeah. Where are they? So not to tease everyone in this break, because you're in the break, the giveaway that finishes today.
I believe this will be the biggest giveaway.
Brody Jones, club hero for the Knights. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders.
In NRL trading cards.
Biggest giveaway in NRL Traders, NRL trading cards
Ever, I think.
ever. So, set of Legends case cards, but not only the set, guys, a numbered set, number 10. So, big giveaway. This one's going to run for a few months. Will include Elite. Second place in this giveaway will be 21 Traders case, hobby case. So big giveaway. First and second, but definitely first pair of Legends case cards, number 10. Yeah, we'll put a post up. Usually the first, everyone watching this is first to be told. But yeah, I'll just chuck them behind me out of the way. There we go. So more details will be up. So that is our next giveaway starting. Team High Performance for the Raiders. Isaiah Yo, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Herbie Farmworth, parallel for Broncos. Season to Remember, Tommy Turbo. Thanks, Jade. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Ben Travojevic for Manly. Alex Twal, parallel for Tigers. I've seen someone post something in reference to Jake Trebojevic's Gerbo. I had a little giggle to myself. Reed Marnie, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Vailami Avile for the Warriors. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Ben Hunt, parallel for Dragons. Master and Apprentice, Matt Dory for the Bulldogs. Hammer Fido, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Knights, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Tilvet Welsh, out with an ACL. Eels, Women's NRL were looking good. Corey Oates, Master Apprentice for Broncos. Titans having a big win over the Broncos. Campbell Graham, parallel with the Rabbits. And building two teams a year for the next few years. So NRLW here to stay, not going anywhere. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. That's good to hear, especially when my 5-year-old daughter's just getting into it. Lachlan Elias, Rising Stars for the Rabbits. Joe Stimson, parallel for Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Master and Apprentice, Balak. Hamoli Olakoatu for Manly. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for Warriors. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Joe Manu, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Sione Katoa, parallel for Sharks. Ben Hunt, Power Heroes for the Dragons. Luciano Lailua, parallel for the Tigers. Brian Totter, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Thomas Flegler, parallel for Broncos. You can get a bit of sun come across the table. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with the cards too much. Dejan Assi, Rising Stars to the Cowboys. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. No, it's coming through the end. Okay, got to sort of, push that in there and it gets a bit better. Yeah, close enough. Bit better. All good. Thank you, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Thomas Burgess, season to remember for the Rabbitohs. Cowboys parallel checklist. Season to remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. A really long weekend after. High Performance, Milwaukee Fotoika for the Titans. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Tommy Talau, Power Heroes for the Tigers. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Retirement, Justin O'Neill for Jackson Schumi with the Cowboys. Kevin Proctor, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Warriors parallel checklist. Matthew Tomoko, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Wiremu Greig for the Eels. Jordan Rapana, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Clint Gufferson for the Eels. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Roosters parallel checklist to finish another box. I'll chuck these in here. Team High Performance for the Bulldogs. No. Brian Totter, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Thomas Flegler, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Blake Green, retirement for the Knights. Rob Kelly. Brian Madison, parallel for the Eels. Club Heroes, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. Big Tino. Blake Brayley, high performance for the Sharks. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Matt Moylan, Master and Apprentice for Sharks. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Jesse Bromwich for Storm. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Vailami Avile for the Warriors. Jack Hetherington, parallel for Bulldogs. Egan Butcher, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Master and Apprentice, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for Rabbits. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. Roosters parallel checklist. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Master and Apprentice Black, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. High performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly. Toby Rudolph, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Tyson Gamble, parallel for the Broncos. Daniel Saifiti, Power Heroes for the Knights. Stefano Utikamanu, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Dragons parallel checklist. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Hammerfido for the Cowboys. Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Power Heroes, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for Broncos. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Miriam Grigg for the Eels. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Reid Marnie for the Eels. Warriors parallel checklist. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Chanel Harris-Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Right, what are we up to? Box number 6. High Performance, Amari Tuala for the Knights. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Retirements, Isaac Luke for the Broncos. Mr. Jason Holmgreen. Elliot Whitehead for the Raiders. Season to remember, Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Victor Bradley, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Reece Walsh for the Warriors. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Toby Rudolph, Power Heroes for the Sharks. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Corey Allen, parallel for Bulldogs. Sharks, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, and David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Jaden Brayley, parallel for Knights. Team High Performance for Jackson Shumi with the Cowboys. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Make sure Dad doesn't steal them, Jackson. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Dean Aremia for the Storm. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Kyle Felt, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Big Tino, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Aaron Shoup, Rising Stars for Bulldogs. Renato Molitalo, parallel for Sharks. Season to remember, Brian To'o for Panthers. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Valentine Holmes for Cowboys. Tommy Talau, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Helam Maluki for the Cowboys. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Master and Apprentice, Black, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Mr. Holmgreen, Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for Eels. Club Heroes, Gareth Lawson with the Dragons. Andrew McCulloch. Josh Kerr, parallel for the Dragons. Master and Apprentice for Panthers, Isaiah Yeo. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for Titans. Jake Clifford, parallel for Knights. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Manly parallel checklist. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. David Fafita, parallel for Titans. Kieran Foran, Power Heroes for Manly. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbitohs. And another box done. Alright. Just go get a can of Coke while you're standing up, Brody. Thanks, bro. Rising Stars, Tukimea Simpkins for the Tigers. Palami kick out, parallel for Panthers. Jeez. Dane O'Laurie, club heroes for the Tigers. Mr. Craig Hyde, Broncos checklist. Parallel. Jaden Campbell, Rising Stars for the Titans. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Mr. Blake Ferguson for the Eels. James Tarmo, parallel for Tigers. I wonder how long it will be till Mr. Ferguson is back in the NRL. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. He's playing Bush League at the moment for Thelmia. That's right. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for Storm, and Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. High Performance, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Jake Granville, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, Kieran Foran for Manly. Jake Clifford, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Sam Walker for the Roosters. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. High Performance, Will Hopewade for the Bulldogs. Sharks, parallel checklist. Adam Dewey, parallel for Tigers. Team High Performance for the Roosters. Nathan Brown, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Justin Olam for the Storm. Foil Sig for the Warriors, Chris Duggan. Number 204, Manly Parallel Checklist. Season to remember, Corey Norman for Dragons, David Fafita, Parallel for Titans, Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors, Thomas Burgess, Parallel for Rabbits, Tommy Talau, Parallel for the Tigers, High Performance, Payne Huss for the Broncos, Jeremy Marshall King, Parallel for the Bulldogs, Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys, Makar Ravalawa, Parallel for Dragons, Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs, Kyle Felt, Parallel for the Cowboys, Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights, Jaden Brayley, Parallel for the Knights, Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos, Victor Bradley, Parallel for the Roosters, Parallel, Jesse Bromwich for the Storm, High Performance, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders, Lachlan Croker, Parallel for Manly, Master Apprentice, Josh Curran for the Warriors, Big Tino, Parallel for the Titans, Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders, Jai Arrow, Parallel for the Rabbits, Season to remember, Jaden Brayley for the Knights, Corey Allen, Parallel for Bulldogs, Joseph Tapine, Parallel for Raiders, Josh Curran, Parallel for Warriors, Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels, Eliza Katoa, Parallel for Warriors, Master Apprentice, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons, Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Ruben Garrick, season to remember for Manly. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Toby Rudolph, Power Heroes for Sharks. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for Raiders. And last packet for the box. Master and Apprentice Black for the Sharks. Matt Moylan. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tukumea Simpkins for the Tigers. Panthers parallel checklist. Club Heroes, Mr. Pappenhausen for the Storm. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Jaden Campbell, Rising Stars for Titans. Wade Graham, parallel for Sharks. Season to remember, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Clint Gutherson, parallel for the Eels. Katie Nikarima, parallel for Warriors. Oops. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Jared Herrera Hargreaves for the Roosters. Season to remember, Matt Burton for Panthers. Balami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Broncos parallel checklist. High performance of Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Matty Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. James Tarmo, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for the Storm. Cody Ramsey, parallel for Dragons. High performance, Reese Robson for the Cowboys. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, Adal Martin Zalesniak for the Warriors. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for Knights. Got it out eventually. Along with a small berth. Franklin Pillay, Rising Stars for Sharks. Storm, parallel checklist. Cameron Smith, retirement for Storm. Delhi Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Malaki Fotuaika, parallel for Titans. Adam Dewey, parallel for Tigers. Team high performance for the Warriors. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Jake Granville, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Jake Clifford, parallel for the Knights. James Tedesco, Power Heroes for the Roosters. Jack Whiten, parallel for Raiders. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. High performance, Josh Hodgson for the Raiders. Manly parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice, James Tarmo for the Tigers. David Fafita, parallel for Titans. Harley Smith Shields, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Thomas Burgess, parallel for Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Albert Kelly for the Broncos. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for Bulldogs. High performance, Jake Turpin for the Broncos. Jake Averillo, parallel for Bulldogs. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Master and Apprentice, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Talator Amone for the Dragons. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Wade Graham for the Sharks. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. And last packet for the box. Master and Apprentice Black, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Sharks parallel checklist. Alright. Rising Stars, Jerome Moisey for the Knights. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Club Hero, Josh Schuster for Manly. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Retirement, Boyd Cordner for the Roosters. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Jack Bird for the Dragons. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. High performance, Daniel Tupu for the Roosters. Titans parallel checklist. Tavita Totola parallel for the Rabbits. Team high performance for Manly. Jack Hetherington parallel for Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Katoni Staggs for the Broncos. Daniel Tupu parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Jerome Luai parallel for Panthers. Katoni Staggs parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. William Kennedy parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. David Nofaluma parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Raiders parallel checklist. Season to remember, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. Chanel Harris Tavita parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Addo Carr for Storm. Harry Grant parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Angus Crichton parallel for the Roosters. Liam Martin parallel for Panthers. High performance, Justin Olam for the Storm. Tyson Gamble parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Daniel Saifidi parallel for Knights. What's this box number 9? Master Apprentice, Cooper Johns for Storm. Toby Rudolph parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Greg Marzhew for the Titans. Stefano Utikamanu parallel for Tigers. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Mitchell Moses parallel for the Eels. Valentine Holmes parallel for Cowboys. Dragons parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Trent Leroux for Storm. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Master and Apprentice, Bo Formore for the Titans. Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. Power Heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Jack Bird, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Matt Duffy for the Dragons. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Master and Apprentice Black and Josh Papali for the Raiders. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. 2 packets left for this box. High Performance, Brian To'o for Panthers. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. And that was another box. Alright, so what are we up to? Box number 10. Power Heroes are Josh Papali for the Raiders. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Tom Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jira Mamoisi for the Knights. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Storm. Nathan Cleary, club hero for Panthers. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Ewan Aiken, parallel for Warriors. Power Heroes, header A. Joseph Sawali, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Season to Remember, Addo Carr for Storm. Nelson Asofa Solomona for Storm. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Hamoli Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. High Performance, Matt Burton for Panthers. Eels, parallel checklist. High Performance, Daniel Tupu for the Roosters. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance for the Titans. Team High Performance, sorry. Bulldogs, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbitohs. Charles Nicol Clockstad, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Titans. Season to Remember, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. Dylan Latine Zelezniak, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Saitili Tupanua for the Roosters, parallel. Apisai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. High Performance, Addo Carr for Storm. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Master Apprentice, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Sifa Talakai, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Greg Marshew for the Titans. Tigers, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Micah Sibbo, parallel for the Eels. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Trent Leroux, Rising Stars for Storm. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Master Apprentice, Kevin Proctor for the Titans. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. 4 more packets for this box. Bulldogs Predictor. Number 69 for Mr. Peter Wright. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. If you're still watching, DK, is that what you thought? Is that what you're expecting? Because that seems familiar, actually. Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Matt Duffy to the Dragons. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. And last but not least, Master Apprentice Balak and Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans to finish us off. Alright, so we've only got 2 more boxes from the case, and then we have our 2 priority boxes. Rising Stars, Tukamea Simpkins for the Tigers. Isaiah Yo, parallel for Panthers. So we do have the last 4 boxes from a case. We've done 2 4-box breaks. We have the last 4 boxes out of that case put aside. Break 53 listed on the website. Marcelo Montoya, club hero for the Warriors. Herbie Farmworth, parallel for Broncos. It only had one predictor. I think we've had a white authentic SIG. We've had the creator come out. No Legends SIG. I don't think we've had the black authentic. I could be wrong. I'd have to check the photos. Jaden Campbell, Rising Stars for the Titans, and Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. If that one's sold out, we'll be breaking that one on Friday, guys. No giveaway spots with that one, unfortunately. Big Blake Ferguson for the Eels. Alex Twal, parallel for Tigers. Master and Apprentice Black, Kevin Proctor for the Titans. Ben Salmon, Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. James Tarmo, parallel for Tigers. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Tyson Smoothie, Rising Stars for Storm. Ben Hunt, parallel for Dragons. High Performance, Kyle Felt for the Cowboys. Big Hammer for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, Harry Grant for the Storm. Knights, parallel checklist. Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Season to Remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Broncos parallel checklist. Retirement, Anthony Don for the Titans. We also have a Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Season to Remember, Corey Norman for the Dragons. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Jaden Brayley, Season to Remember for the Knights. Jake Avarillo, parallel for Bulldogs. Jack Whiten, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Cody Nicarima, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, Xavier Coates for the Broncos. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Palami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. High Performance, Nick Meaney for the Bulldogs. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. Master and Apprentice, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Jared Herrera Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Oh, itchy nose. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Team High Performance for the Dragons. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. Storm, parallel checklist. High Performance and Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. G'day Blake, how are we mate? Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Master and Apprentice, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Milwaukee Fotoika, parallel for Titans. Harley Smith Shields, Rising Stars for Raiders. Damien Cook, parallel for Rabbitohs. Alright. Almost not a full box, but anyway. So last box of the case. We still have 2 more boxes remaining after this one. There are 2 priority boxes. Let's get this one done and dusted. Rising Stars, Ben Travojevic for Manly. Stefano Utoikamanu, parallel for Tigers. Season to remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. High Performance for the Sharks. Dragons parallel checklist. Master Apprentice Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. Alexander Brimson, a season to remember for the Titans. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Might make a couple of boxes. Kobe Hetherington, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. If you buy the boxes off us at the moment on the website, we're giving away the 22 Traders show cards. Why stocks last? Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Master Apprentice, Herbie Farmworth for the Broncos. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Luke Thompson, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Valami Avile for the Warriors. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. Club Hero for Mr. Jackson Ashumi. Hylam Aluki with the Cowboys. Emery Gula, parallel for Raiders. If you're going to go to the news agents, I'll be honest with you, what you want to be looking for are the hobby starter packs. Season to remember for the Bulldogs and Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. If you do go to the news agents to buy any stock, inquire what starter packs they got. And if they got the hobby version, that's what I'd be buying. Phoenix Crossland, Master Apprentice Black for the Knights. Warriors parallel checklist. James Tedesco, a parallel for the Roosters. Dejan Assi, a Rising Stars for the Cowboys. And Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Power Heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. David Nofaluma, parallel for the Tigers. Remember, this is the last box in this case. We still have our 2 priority boxes to go. Thomas Burgess, season to remember for the Rabbitohs. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, David Fafita for the Titans. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Power Heroes, Katoni Staggs for the Broncos. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. High Performance, Tommy Turbo for Manly. William Kennedy, parallel for Sharks. Titans, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Jack Hetherington, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Rumi Grieg for the Eels. The Raiders, parallel checklist. High Performance, Micah Sivo for the Eels. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for Bulldogs. Katoni Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Ooh. What are we? Mr. Darren Court. Rabbitohs Creator, number 32. Congratulations, number 32. Angus Crichton, a parallel for the Roosters. High performance for the Broncos. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. 2 packets left. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo. And Toby Rudolph, parallel for Sharks. So as I said a couple of times, that was the last box in the case. We still have our 2 priority boxes to go. So still plenty of big hits to be found. So 22 Traders Priority Box. We know Master Apprentice of Black is a priority. Jerome Hughes, Master Apprentice for Storm. Suicide Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. And Team High Performance is our other priority hit. Obviously, we still have the Creators, the Black Authentics, the Legends, SIGs, Predictors, all the good things that we might also find in the box. Greg Marshue, Rising Stars for Tigers. Tigers parallel Greg Marshue, Rising Stars for Titans. And a Tigers parallel. Got Nathan Clear, created number 2. Oh, nice. On a roll, buddy. On a roll. You'll be able to put the set together, surely. Josh Jackson, parallel for Bulldogs. Well, now you might have to, that you got so many of them. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Micah Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Trent Leroux for Storm. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. High Performance, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Power Heroes header A. So we've got 3 header A's and a header B. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Master Apprentice, Kevin Proctor for the Titans. And Jacob Saifidi, parallel for the Knights. Sharks, Luke Metcalf, Rising Stars, Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Jaden Sullivan, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Another Bulldogs Premiership predictor. Peter Wright, number 159. Payne Haas, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Master Apprentice Black for the Knights, number 16, Mr. Robert Kelly. And Jared Wallace, parallel for the Titans. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Rabbitohs, parallel checklist. Hayes Dunster, Rising Stars for the Eels. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Addo Carr for the Storm. Jake Turpin, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Matt Burton for Panthers. Eels, parallel checklist. And Josh Papali, Power Heroes for the Raiders. Tarek Sims, parallel for Dragons. Tommy Dearden, a parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jira Moimoisi for the Knights. Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Dave Fafita for the Titans. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Still looking for our team high performance guys. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Amali Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Do we sell starter cases? Unfortunately, no, not at the moment. And it's not something we normally do by themselves. They are normally only in the combos, but with our order being stuffed up and whatnot, then everything's a bit out of whack. High performance, Daniel Tupu for the Roosters. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Isaiah Yeo, Club Heroes for Panthers. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Colin Matangi, parallel for Rabbits. Dinner time once I finish. Team high performance for the Knights, Mr. Robert Kelly. Remember, it's only 6:30 here as well. Number 37. It's getting warm though. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Oh, always gotta be one. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbitohs. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. 4 packets left for this box. Then all we have left is our 21 Traders Priority. And a couple of randomisations. The season to remember for the Bulldogs. Darren Watine Zalesniak, parallel for Warriors. Xavier Savage, Rising Stars for Raiders. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. I feel like Xavier Savage is one of the highest pulled Rising Stars. I doubt it. It's just, I've seen, yeah. Zach Sini, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. And in all honesty, they're probably even. It's just, yeah. He makes me again. Just talking about it. Apposite Carousel, parallel for Panthers. I'm alright. I actually had a good sleep last night. I hope she's not watching, but if I don't fall asleep first, I normally struggle to fall asleep with my missus yawning. And last night, I crashed. She would have had to be dealing with my snoring. Alright, so that's the end of the 222 Traders for tonight, guys. We do have our 21 Traders Priority Box. And we also have the Hobby Box to give away. We will do the header Power Heroes. And if we get a Legends or a Startoon header group card in this box, We'll randomise them first, and then we'll do the hobby box last. What have we got? Oh, Club Hero parallel to start off with. Oh! Jersey number, as well as, Robert Kelly. You seem to be on a bit of a roll, buddy. Club Hero for the Knights, Kalen Ponga, number 1. Nice hit. Tommy Dearden, parallel for Broncos. First packet for 21 Traders. Big hit. Rising Stars, Semi Avalemi, Rising Stars for Raiders. Tavita Tyler, parallel for Rabbits. And I'll still be here for another hour taking photos, Jay. Adam Dewey, parallel for Tigers. Jordan Piera, parallel for Dragons. Second priority hit, number 12, team wildcard for the Storm, Terry Lynch. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Darren Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Tommy Talau from the Tigers. So come on, guys. We're looking for a legend sig now. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. We've had 22 Traders Priority, 22 Hobby Case. Can the 21 Traders, time for takeout for dinner? No, Mum's has been cooking dinner. I don't exactly know what we're having, but some sort of roast, I believe. Happy days. Josh Papali, season to remember for the Raiders. Braden Hemlin Yuli, parallel for the Sharks. All I know is it smells bloody awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I hope the missus hasn't cooked me dinner. White Street Art Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Raiders a parallel checklist. Star Tunes Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Sean Johnson parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Billy Walters for the Tigers. Cody Nikarima, parallel for the Warriors. Cowboys a parallel checklist. Season to remember, Tavita Pengai Jr. for the Broncos. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Right, Brandon Wakeham, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Wild card, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Moses Sulai, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Freddie Lussick for the Roosters. Blake Ferguson, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Cooper Johns for the Storm. CSR Takahowie for the Roosters. Retirement, Gerard Beale for the Sharks. Not what I was hoping to see, guys. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Blackstreeter, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Josh Morris for the Roosters. Josh Alloway, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Cade Cust for Manly. Hymel Hunt, parallel for Knights. Connor Tracy, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Walami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Just remember, we've got 4 Power Heroes header cards to randomise, 3 of which are A's, 1 B. Hayes Perham, Rising Stars for the Warriors. Jesse Ramian, parallel for Sharks. So we'll do them first, and then we'll do our 21 Traders hobby spot. Charlie Staines, Rising Stars for Panthers. Joseph Tapine, parallel for Raiders. Foil Sig, Joseph Tapine for the Raiders. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for Titans. Cameron Murray, Star Tunes for the Rabbits. Boyd Cordner, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Cameron McInnes for the Dragons. Warriors parallel checklist. Season to remember, Peter Hiku for the Warriors. Josh Maguire, parallel for the Cowboys. So what do we got? Well, still got a few, about 10 on it. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Manly, parallel checklist. White Street Art of Josh Mansell for the Panthers. Dale Finucane, parallel for Storm. Where's Dale now? I don't think he's at the Storm. I think he's somewhere else. I'm sure he's somewhere else. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. No, is it? Yeah. Yep. I think you're right there. Wild card, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbits. Tarek Sims, parallel for Dragons. Jesse Bromwich, wild card for the Storm. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. 3 packets left, guys. Just about there. Rising Stars, Herbie Farmworth for the Broncos. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Cade Ellis for the Dragons. Dylan Napa, parallel for Bulldogs. And unlucky last, unfortunately, Sean Johnson, wildcard for the Sharks. Matt Duffy, parallel for Dragons. Alright. So as I said, we've got our 4 Power Hero cards. And we have our 21 Traders Hobby Box. So header A, header B, and 2 header A's. We'll do them in that order. Switch over. Couple of good hits tonight, guys. Some good pickups. And proving that 21 Traders has not finished. Still some good hits to be found in amongst that. So A, we want to get rid of. Let's make sure I've got Eels. Alright. Yeah, we should be right, guys. Sorry. That's that. Number 1. Number 2. And lucky last, number 3. Jason Holmgreen, Power Hero A's with the Broncos. List randomizer. Chuck is back in there. Alright, so this is for the header B. 1, 2, and lucky last, number 3. Jade with the Eels. Alright, so now we have 2 header A's. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. 1, Matt Price and Manly. 1 more header A, and then we'll do our 21 Traders Hobby Box. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Broncos, Jason Holmgreen again. Alright. So lucky last for this evening is our 21 Traders Hobby Box. Let's go. Number 1, number 2, and don't forget break 53 on the website, guys. Get amongst it. Lucky last, number 3. Jason Holmgreen with the Broncos again. On a roll with the randomizers tonight. Well, that's it. That's all. Hope yous all had a ball. Catch us next time. Even better, get a part of it. Break 53 on the website. Go and grab a spot and keep an eye